I'm noticing a lot of enthusiasm and willingness to really do hard work. I see most of them in my office hours, and they're really full of students all the time. And that level of really commitment to their work is something I've never seen before, other than at FPF. They are really willing to go above and beyond to make sure that their work is at the level that they want it to be.
I've noticed in the last couple of years, especially this year, that the students are incredibly serious. They really have a sense of direction when they come here. They're a little bit frightened. They're frightened of the future, and I think that may have something to do with the economic realities that they will be facing when they get out. You know that they have to make their time here really, really count, and they're hitting the ground running and ready to do that.
I've noticed that this young generation is very keen on understanding the functions of social media. The younger generation is very sensitive to the instrumentality of social media, such as Facebook and Twitter, and so they seem to be very keen on understanding these tools of social media and the way that they can mobilize, they can instigate organizations and protest and so on and so forth.
There are quite a few students who are thinking about a really non-traditional track for their college career. A couple students who are thinking of taking a year off just to work or travel. Typically, when I meet freshmen, they're pretty much set on declaring that one major, straight shooter attitude and perspective. There are some students who are a little more flexible this year, so that was really interesting.
Some of them will even apologize for taking up my time when they come in for advising, which is sweet, although I do tell them that it's my job and that's what I'm here for.
With freshmen, all freshmen, obviously they're kind of entering a new phase of their education. It's very interesting and exciting to participate in that with them. You know, here they are now in college, and they're very excited about that. Added to that is the fact that this is not only a new phase of their education, but a new phase of their life. That's really interesting and exciting. Just for many of them, it's the first time that they're away from home, you know, the first time that they're in a dorm situation, the first time that they're kind of experiencing being on their own. That comes into the classroom, of course.
Their enthusiasm is really, contagious, because that really, pushes, the instructor to do his or her best, right? So this very kind of eager space, if I may call it, encourages the instructor to respond, which creates a great learning atmosphere in the class, right?
Like the name says it, very fresh out of high school. They're honestly trepidatious enough about what lies ahead, but excited enough about the opportunity they have in front of them.
I have a couple best practices. One is I never lecture for more than a few minutes without asking a question, because most of the students have their computers, which I permit, and if you don't pepper them with questions, they may be watching YouTube or whatever it is that they're doing. So you have to keep them constantly engaged. Another favorite practice of mine is trying to integrate some humor or funny known facts about important political figures. Like when I talked about Russia, I showed videos of Vladimir Putin riding around on a horse with no shirt on and riding around on Harley Davidsons, and the students think that's funny. And that's probably the one thing they're going to remember from the class.
One is that I really think it's important to create a sense of community in the class. For instance, having students work in small groups during every class session. But I think maybe the deepest best practice is best practice with myself. How do I keep myself open and empathic? I think it's really essential to feel excitement about the curriculum and the material.
The three most engaging practices in MES 20 for the freshmen were, number one, group presentation. I put the students in a small group, and they were responsible for a group presentations. So they learn how to work together, how to cooperate, how to coordinate their efforts, and how to manage the time in terms of the presentation. Number 2 practice that was very helpful was the discussions of the topics of the day, ranging from Iran, Syria, Arab uprisings, and students were very keen on understanding the issues of the day and the relevance of the issues of the day with some of the materials that we covered. Last but not least, I brought 2 guest speakers to class, and they were very helpful because they shed enormous light on the issues that we were discussing, and guest speakers gave us a new dimension, added dimension to what we have discussed.
What I've noticed and what I've heard from students this semester is that what they really like is the opportunity to really get a chance to talk with each other. My class, as a small English class, is always discussion based, but they really love it when I broke them into small groups and they got a chance to really engage one-on-one with everyone. I've had people mention that a number of times. The other thing that I heard just yesterday from my students was how much they actually enjoyed the reading that we were doing. We were reading contemporary novels and short stories at the end of the class, and a student said, this is the first time I've ever liked a book I had to read. So I think that's a good practice, is thinking about not just classic literature, but contemporary literature as a subject for students.
The other thing that I think is really important is to check in with them about how they're doing. This is not only the most formative semester of their college career, I think it's the hardest in a lot of ways because they're moving away from home, they're becoming real adults for the first time. So they're going through a lot of emotional changes, situational changes, as well as having to just handle the heavy course load and the actual just demands of the schoolwork here.
What was really different for me coming here was that I had to learn to depend on myself a lot, I had to learn really how to be active in my education and be active in my learning and seek help out when I needed it. Go to office hours, talk to other students, get help from advisors. That all fell on me. So I just had to learn to be really independent. So it was cool. It was a good change.
So the classes are much more lecture-based, and the professors hold you to a higher standard and have a greater expectation. Specifically, for example, in English class, my professor really challenged me to think and bring ideas further than I would have normally done or would have usually felt comfortable doing in high school.
So some of the strategies that I used to adjust to FPF were to take advantage of the resources available to me, the grade advising to help me figure out classes for next year, figuring out if I should drop a class or pass no pass it, taking advantage of the small class sizes and how close I can get to my professors, talking with them, establishing a relationship, which has really benefited me, taking advantage of the tutoring that's available, such as the math tutoring and even the Student Learning Center too, has been really helpful in helping me figure out what's going on here at FPF and at Berkeley.
In terms of strategies, in order to get used to FPF and in order to get used to campus and sort of that transition, I think it's important to talk to your professors and really establish good communication. In high school, it's not too common to email your professors with questions because you see professors every day, and so I think it's good in FPF that you get that opportunity to have office hours, which is something that's very college that you don't quite get in high school.
My favorite class would have to be my Math 1B class. Just the whole environment was just amazing. The two professors are also really great. They made math really fun this semester, and I personally love math. I find myself spending more time on my math classes than my other classes. Definitely, hands down, my math class was the best this semester.
My favorite class here at FPF has been SBM 50 AC, taught by Kurt Spryer. It is an amazing course that has opened my mind to so many social issues and really convinced me that I want to focus on in the social sciences. I've learned so much and I can't wait to take more classes like that here at Berkeley.
My favorite class was Rhetoric R1B with Kirsten Schwartz. I realized that I had actually learned a lot, and my writing skills were definitely improved, and I actually read some of the same texts in my college classes on campus. And so I kind of realized after how important that class was, and now that I reflect on it, it's definitely my favorite class.
It's a tie between ethnic studies and gender and women's studies. It's because those classes, as cheesy as it sounds, they really helped me grow as a person. You know, they gave me a new way to think. And not only that, not only did I learn so much about what's going on today, but I learned that I had such a narrow understanding of my interests. And those classes really helped me find my passion. I was so passionate about it, I would go and tell my floor mates, or like, I would call up my mom and like ask her like, do you know about the prison industrial complex, like mass incarceration? Those classes became a new way of thinking for me. So that was really great.
I'd definitely like to give a big thank you to everybody who made this program possible. It made me feel a lot more confident coming into Berkeley. When I first got in, I was kind of intimidated because it is UC Berkeley. It's a great transition from high school to college. I'm ready to take on harder classes and really a lot more confident. Thank you.
So there's a lot of people to thank, obviously, but I really have to extend a huge thank you to the FPF advisors and directors. Thank you so much for making this program possible. The reason why I'm at Berkeley is because of FPF, and this program gave me a chance. So I can't thank you guys enough for making it possible and just for being so available to us.
Just like to say thank you. I know I'm much happier here, kind of pretty much at Berkeley. Much happier doing this than staying home for a semester or going to a community college. I think it'd be kind of a strange transition coming in spring, and I'd much rather prefer this way. I've already made a good amount of friends and have joined some organizations on campus that have really helped me integrate myself into the whole community of Berkeley. So, thank you.
So to those who make this program possible, I just want to say thank you. I am really grateful that I was in FPF, and I love to talk to other people who are also in FPF. It's great because it seems like we kind of have a community, and it kind of never leaves you. When I meet new people now and I realize they're in FPF, we get to talk about certain professors and sort of the environment, so it's really something special. And I think it's unique to Berkeley too, which I like.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. FPF has been an amazing experience, from the incredible professors and the class sizes, which have allowed me to get to know them better, to the advising, which has been incredible and accessible. I've really enjoyed my time here, and that's made possible most by the people, by the advisors and the administration, who have really created this program and sculpted it to fit what I want, and I can see that they care a lot about it, and I really appreciate that. So thank you again.